Hi, folks. I wanted to introduce you to my newest work, the work of being human, which is really not new, it is age old. So let's get right in it. What am I doing? I'm writing it as a blog, I'm writing it as a website. It will also be a book. Now, you have the chance to see the book come to life while I'm writing it. And I'll add the link to the blog right below it. It's theworkofbeinghuman.org, will take you right there. Now, first, of course, an orientation. What am I doing? What is the work of being human? Now, really, what it is the ongoing, ordinary effort of becoming a person. Now, those who have watched my TEDx talk know what I mean. I will embed it here in that blog too. I haven't done it yet, but I should. There's a good book by Carl Rogers that fell into my lap at age 16 on becoming a person. Now, it's more than 40, close to 50 years since then. And I'm still at it. It's never ending. It's a great life to grow, aim upwards, and grow as a person. What does it mean? That's why I'm writing it. Learning to live with integrity across body, mind, soul, spirit, relationships, and responsibility, especially inside systems that often ask too much, too fast, for too long. Now, this post is an orientation for a new series with a simple question at its center. What if the way we think about wellness, about work, about purpose, and even about success has quietly drifted away from what actually supports human life? Not dramatically, not overnight, but slowly, subtly, almost politely. Now, you can read the table of content if you want, but I'll answer questions like, why do thoughtful people feel tired even when life looks fine? Now, I'll make little videos about each of these parts, so I'll just give you the overview now. Many people who come to me are not failing. They're functioning, but they don't feel right internally. They are full of tension. And that means you're paying attention. That's good. So this series is part of the larger 5D wellness conversation and also of my private advisory for wellness founders. Of course, that's not for everyone. 5D Wellness, the forum is free for you to join. So I recommend, if you are just starting out, that's the place for you where you want to be. We are not pitching here. It's not a productivity strategy dressed up as self-care. I want to share what I've learned in my 64, soon 65 years of life. And there's a lot of lessons that I learned and a lot of lessons I hopefully still have to learn. Because the world does not need more information, it needs more coherence. My next book is all about that. And more ways of thinking that do not fragment the body from the mind, productivity from meaning, success from responsibility, wellness from ethics, and personal symptoms from systemic causes. And those who know me know that I'm trained as a physician and a naturopath. And I also always worked in holistic medicine, holistic brain and health, holistic mental health. And it's slowly creeping, I think, slowly coming into the consciousness of many, many more people that this is what humans are meant to experience. So we will explore in this series one theme at the intersection of human biology and nervous system reality, ethics and responsibility, history, philosophy, and language. Lived experience. I'll share some stories from my clinical practice, of course, not with names and dates, of course, but I've had a lot of interesting experience and stories, and some of them fit in that context. So we explore the deeper question of what it means to live well together. And I want to invite you to continue that conversation. And sometimes we'll draw from medicine, sometimes from philosophy or history, sometimes from literature, sometimes from ordinary moments that carry more wisdom than we tend to acknowledge. Because this isn't about quick answers, it's about restoring discernment. And frameworks matter. They matter for health, for meaning, and for long-term sustainability. So we created one, we'll share it on LinkedIn, and you might wonder why I am speaking, and I want to invite you to join this conversation with me and to maybe contribute, become a co-contributor to the books that are coming from that, to the blog. I have aspirations and I want to invite you to talk with me and see what we can do together. Now, I'm Christine Sauer. I'm a physician. I'm a naturopath. I've been trained in Germany, and for decades I've worked with people whose bodies were carrying the cost of systems that demanded too much, too quickly, for too long. I've worked inside conventional medicine, and I've worked outside of it. I've studied physiology, trauma, ethics, human development, and many, many other things, not as abstractions only, but often as lived realities. Since childhood, I've been someone who asked questions. Sometimes welcomed, sometimes just brushed off. Sometimes met with impatience or even anger. But I learned something from every honest question I asked. I also studied literature, history, and philosophy, and I've come to believe something both humbling and freeing. We may only ever scratch the surface of what we call truth or wisdom. And still, the work of becoming a person remains a deeply rewarding and useful human endeavor. Now, let's explore, what does work really mean? The word work carries weight, sometimes too much weight. So it helps to define it carefully. One broad definition describes work as a deed, something done, an action, whether voluntary or required, that which is made or manufactured, opportunity of expanding labor in some useful or remunerative way. Even at the level of language, work is not only paid employment, it is also action, making, contribution, formation. And in that sense, becoming human is work. Not grim striving, but the steady practice of living truthfully. There's a quiet mercy in remembering this, because questions like, what is a good life, or how should we live, should not have a single categorical answer. Human beings, including me, are imperfect, lovable, and wonderful. We deserve care, respect for creation, and gratitude. We fail to live up to our highest standards again and again. And this is certainly not the end of the story. We can live with deep purpose and still huff and puff while climbing the mountain of life. And then even sometimes the bell keeps ringing because I'm also cooking and cleaning and helping my husband in the house. We are doing it together. A coherent framework makes room for effort and mercy. And here's another thing. When personal problems are actually systemic, this is something that became clear to me over time. Many issues labeled personal are also systemic. They have roots across all 5 dimensions of human life: biology, nervous system load, psychology, development, relationships and community, culture, language, institutions, spirit, meaning, and moral responsibility. And many solutions offered to individuals quietly ignore the multidimensional environments they are embedded in. And you know what? When language is misunderstood or misused, sometimes innocently, sometimes not, discernment becomes difficult. People are left with slogans when they needed truth. So this series is my way of naming these questions carefully and responsibly without blame. So why does it matter now? It does because we are living in a moment where speed is mistaken for progress. Visibility is mistaken for value. Urgency is mistaken for importance. And many people can feel in their bodies that something needs to change. Not through collapse, which I pray for, not through rebellion, because I don't believe that this is the wisest path, but through wiser design, and perhaps through a renewed trust and faith in discernment and a larger meaning and purpose. So if you stay with this series, you won't be rushed. You won't be told what to think. You won't be given formulas to follow, although I know many of them. Instead, I'll try, and I hope I will deliver on that, to offer you context where there has been confusion, language where there has been unease, frameworks and definitions that support grounded choice. Some episodes may challenge familiar assumptions. Others may simply put words to what you've already sensed. You're welcome to engage slowly at your speed. You're welcome to pause. You're welcome to take what's useful, share it, and leave the rest. That's part of the ethic. Now, if these conversations resonate over time, there's a broader living dialogue inside the 5D Wellness Community Forum, a space for thoughtful exploration, not for performance, for questions, not certainty, for people who want to build lives and systems that actually support human beings. You're welcome there if and when it feels right. For now, thank you for being here. Let's begin.